This is the most powerful BMW ever. This is also the most expensive BMW ever. This is the BMW XM. Driving a modern flagship BMW is an occasion. The interior is pure artwork. That play of light and surfaces accentuating every bit of detail. It's like a piece of jewelry on display and it makes you feel wealthy. The XM is the most powerful M car ever. But before we get to the M in the BMW XM, the early morning escape from the city to our testing location presents the best of BMW in the XM. It feels special from the second you sit in it. And as you come in contact with the materials on the inside and the design of the cabin, it feels even more special. Your eyes light up to the welcoming surrounds of BMW's flagship SUV. And then you hit the M button. Loud V8 mornings are so rare these days. I must savor them. I must save them in my memory bank because very soon this is all going to be quiet performance. Yet this XM is a brand new car. It's less than a year old globally and it's got a V8 up front. I can use my pedals, I can stay in gear, I can hear that V8 even though it's piped through the speakers, but I can actually hear it and enjoy it. I press one button on the center console here though and it can switch to pure EV mode. The battery is down right now but it can go quiet and stay fast. Much like the GT63S performance by AMG. But unlike AMG, BMW has plonked this strong hybrid into the least expected body style for an M car. This is going to be an interesting morning. And even more sacrilegious is the fact that the XM was unveiled at the 50th anniversary of the nutty M division. It sports design cues from the M1 supercar, but it weighs 2.7 tons and looks, well, like a child you'd love only because it's yours. Let me show you around the XM and you can take a call for yourself on its beauty or lack of. The XM has a very angry face. It almost looks like it's squinting with flared nostrils. But to be fair, that grille feels much smaller on the XM than modern BMWs we're used to seeing. The longer you spend with this car, the better it begins to look. You start to notice the detailing in the XM. Like the grille, it's got horizontal slats instead of vertical slats. That bonnet, well, it has these lovely contours similar to what you get in the M4. The bumper has these air channels that channel air and allow this brick to pass straight on a highway at breakneck speeds. Now move towards the side and you notice these lovely 22-inch alloy wheels. The detailing is quite lovely on this XM. The wing mirrors, you're used to seeing these on an M car, but that same design motif is in the door handles. And BMW has masked the weight of this car with these black panels on the side. Now move towards the rear and you find BMW paying homage to the M1. Well, this car was launched on the 50th anniversary of the M division and that pays homage to the M1. Looks quite lovely. The tailpipes, these are quad tailpipes and they're angled upwards almost like a superbike. Overall the design, well, it's not a beautiful car, but it does have solid road presence. And you know what's interesting? Well, the interiors are better than the exteriors. So come, let me show you that. The interior of the XM is a special place to be. You first notice the colors and the quality of the materials in the interior of the XM. For example, this blue leather, it's lovely to touch and feel, both in the seats and everywhere you can see it. Then there's the feel and the color of the suede lining in the interior of the XM, everywhere from the roof to the sides, the brown leather on the dashboard, the in-between gloss matte finish of the carbon fiber inlays. Now you open this and you get two cup holders that can be both cooled and heated. this lovely XM steering wheel, where the M steering wheel, and it's got these carbon fiber paddles that look absolutely lovely and feel nice to use. The screen is curved that we're used to seeing in every new BMW. Besides that, the interior feels very nice. You get this M stitching on the gear selector. It's not the regular gear selector where you move in one direction, so you move to the left and front for reverse and to the right for drive. You get these drive mode settings where you also notice the M hybrid button, because this is a strong hybrid and you can run it on electric only power. The seats are very comfortable. These are massage seats, but the massage functions, they don't quite feel rightly programmed. I like the Bose & Wilkins music system and the covers for the Bose & Wilkins system. These are similar to what you get with the Burmester system in a Mercedes. They look very nice, very premium. The interior overall feels extremely premium, like that roof lining. You don't get a sunroof or a moonroof. Instead, you get this prismatic effect in a sort of a 3D effect for the roof with LED lighting around it. It makes the cabin feel so special that you want to sit in the XM for a long time. I sit in the back seat. Well, I sat in it for a minute. They're very comfortable, but that's not the place to be in an XM. The driver's seat is the place to be and find a good driving road. So let me take you there. Ooh, 4500 RPM soft limiter. There's only one cure for that. Powering this XM is a 4.4 litre twin turbo V8 that makes 482 brake horsepower. Relatively modest for a V8, but it gets coupled to an electric motor that makes another 194 brake horsepower. In total, it's 644 bhp and 800 Newton meters of torque. That makes this the most powerful BMW ever. But actually, it's not quite the most powerful BMW ever, because last year BMW unveiled the XM label red that makes another 94 brake horsepower more than the XM. That label red's 94 extra horses and 1000 Nm of torque make it the most powerful BMW production car ever. But that's a story for another time. Today we're talking about the XM, and the acceleration is pure bonkers. BMW states that the XM will do the 0 to 100 sprint in 4.3 seconds. I think it feels a whole lot faster than the numbers suggest. It definitely feels like a sub 4-second car. That turn of speed feels a whole lot more than the official numbers suggest because of the weight it hurls up the road. The XM is big and it's also the heaviest M car ever. The strong hybrid tech powering the XM pushes the weight scales up with a large battery that offers an electric-only driving range of up to 88 kilometers on the WLTP cycle. You can do a top speed of 140 kilometers per hour using electric power alone. And if you have a wall box charger at home or office, you won't need to spend on fuel at all on your daily commute. It's only when you need to drive over long distances or when your right foot is feeling particularly itchy is when the V8 needs to be summoned. Days of the V12 are over. Days of the V8 are numbered. And then BMW goes in and plonks a massive 4.4 litre V8 under the hood of the XM. Sometimes you need the nuttery of the M division to make cars like these, to keep the enthusiast in us alive. And it is a rush, a proper rush. Gotta savor these moments, don't we? Well, on paper, BMW claims that it does the 0 to 100 time in just 4.3 seconds. 4.3 doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when I floor it, it feels like a whole lot faster than the numbers suggest. Pull in a paddle. You're crossing the 3-figure mark so quickly. You gotta be really alert in the XM. Thankfully, the grip is immense. This XM is 4-wheel drive all the time. You can't put it in 2-wheel drive mode and get those long burnout drifts where even though you can't do that, you can get rear slip in the XM. It is a very heavy car, so you gotta be very careful when you're doing that. But it gives a nice bit of playfulness in the rear and it pushes you out of corners rather than pulling you out of it. The gearbox is absolutely violent. It's an 8-speed Septronic automatic gearbox and it will hold its gear till you upshift. Now should I pull a paddle at the red line? Just watch how violent this is. You see that jerk? Oh, the XM is something else. I mean, it's pure performance in a very heavy body style. It's 2.7 tons, the heaviest BMW you can buy. But all that performance is put to the ground so well. It just grips and goes. Really sticky Continental tires on this one, 315 section at the back, sitting on 22-inch wheels. You can't take this off-road. There is a 4-wheel drive sand setting in the XM, but that stiff suspension will not let you go off-road. You will probably cut the tires too. So stick on the road, be aware of all the imperfections that the road throws at you, and then you can have a fun drive in the XM. You've got to be careful in the XM, not like a regular SUV where you can go over all the imperfections that the road throws at it. In the XM, you've got to be a little careful, but otherwise it's a lot of fun on a winding road. The ride of the XM though is so stiff, you feel all the road imperfections inside the car. BMW has given adaptive suspension with the XM, but it's not air suspension and it doesn't soak in all the imperfections that the roads throw at it. Maybe there's an update in the future and BMW offers that with the XM, but right now it's just too stiff. It benefits in the corners though. The sure-footedness is definitely there. The way the XM corners, it feels like it's on rails. It's a 2.7 ton beast, but the way it handles corners, it almost feels like it's a sports car. The flip side though is a very stiff ride. On a daily basis, it's going to be a little painful and you got to be alert of all the small potholes and imperfections that you see on the road. Even the profile of the tires is quite low. These are 35 profile tires and that really makes it a challenge when you're driving on Indian road conditions. We've been starved for performance BMW M SUVs over the past few years. I remember back in the day, we had the X5M and the X6M, properly rowdy SUVs those. But for the past few years, somehow BMW has stayed clear of these top-of-the-line performance SUVs. Now though, with the XM, you have all of that on tap. Back then, those cars were gluttons. They sipped on fuel like they had a drinking problem. With the XM, that V8 up front still has a drinking problem, but it's a hybrid now. The electric motor cuts in ever so frequently to give you that additional range. It adds about 88 kilometers of WLTP range. So you can drive the XM on EV only power for 88 kilometers. In the city, if you have a charger, a wall box charger at home, you won't need to call upon the V8 for those regular mundane office commutes. But on the day that you want all the performance of this SUV, it's there on tap. Sounds quite nice inside, doesn't it? All this noise is actually not what the XM is making. It's piped through the speakers. On the outside, sure you get the V8 rumble, but it's not as loud. Honestly, I don't care. I can see it synchronizing with the revs as they come up. Well, that's a joy not many cars offer anymore. So pipe it through the speakers for all I care. At least I get to enjoy that V8 soundtrack. BMW has huge plans for the XM globally. The design is made for countries like the USA and China, but this powertrain combination that you're seeing with a lot of performance cars now, this strong hybrid powertrain, that's because of the tax incentives they get abroad. The strong hybrid tech though is the most important thing. That's what's going to rake in the numbers for BMW. The tax breaks abroad are such that a strong hybrid gets incentives over a regular petrol performance SUV, and that's why all major car brands are now shifting towards performance SUVs in the future with a hybrid powertrain. In India though, the tax structure is so wonky. A mild hybrid attracts a lower tax bracket than a strong hybrid. You're paying what, 43% on a strong hybrid, and that's why it's not going to be a very popular type of performance SUV in the country. Nevertheless, with all the luxury and performance on tap, and in India people do love their flagship SUVs, so they may be looking at the XM for that. A 43% tax structure though, that's absolutely stupid. Maybe sometime in the future things will change, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. You gotta look at the XM purely as a performance SUV, keeping the logic of taxes away from the equation. And that's when you're presented with a simple question. Should you pay rupees 2.6 crores plus taxes for a hybrid performance SUV that isn't even among the fastest SUVs in the market? Well, the XM has a lot going for it. It offers a top-tier luxury experience, has an addictive twin-turbo V8 with an electric motor playing the perfect sidekick. It also handles corners almost as if it's a sports car. But it's an expensive SUV, and its ride quality eats into the super SUV experience. When you buy any SUV, it's almost as if it's an unwritten rule that the SUV should shield its occupants from the imperfections in the road anywhere in the world. But with the XM, you don't get that. Maybe in the future sometime BMW offers air suspension on the XM and all is well in the world of M. Until then, I'd say consider it, but would I recommend it? Well, I'm still on the fence for that.